Hi, my name is Hananya Haffinger, and welcome to the 12th class on the structure and details of the second Beis Hamikdash. In this class, we're going to continue learning about the Heichel. Previously, we learned about the general measurements of the Heichel. Now we're going to go into the specific measurements. And here we're going to learn about the height. So at the very bottom, there were 6 amas, which is around 9.5 feet. And this was the height of the 12 stairs to enter the Heichel. Then there were 40 amas, which is around 63 feet. And this was the height of the first floor, as well as the height of the door to enter the Heichel. Then there were 5 amas, which is around close to 8 feet. And this was divided into a few sections, 4 sections. There was 1 amma of ceiling with a design, then 2 amas of a Beis dilfa. It's a place for the water to gather so that it wouldn't go into the Kodesh. And it's discussed how water would get there if the roof of the Heichel was so much higher. Then there was another amma of ceiling. And on top of that, there was 1 amma of lime and stone that served as the floor of the second story. So there was basically an amma of ceiling, and then 2 ammas of Beis dilfa, and another amma of ceiling. And then above that, the floor of the second story. Then there were 40 amas. Again, that's around 63 feet. And this was the height of the second floor. And just like above the first floor, there was 5 amas. Also above the second floor, there was the same 5 amas. 1 amma of ceiling with a design, 2 amas of Beis dilfa, 1 amma of ceiling, and 1 amma of lime and stone. Now we're still missing 4 amas, because if we do the math, we have 40 and 40 is 80, 5 and 5 is 10, so that's 96. So the 4 amas were divided into 2 sections, because above the Heichel there was a mica, a fence, that was 3 amas high, which is close to 5 feet. And above that there was a thing of sharp metal that was an amma high to keep the birds away, either so that they shouldn't dirty the area or that they shouldn't bring in anything of tumah. And then one more thing over here is, and that is that on top of the entrance of the Heichel, it says that there were 5 beams, each extended 1 amma beyond the previous. So the door was 20 amas, the first beam was 22, because 1 amma to each side, then 24, then 26, then 28, and the highest one being 30. The way it's made over here is that the thickness of each one is 1 foot, which is about 2/3 of an amma. So it's a 1 foot of the beam, then 1 foot space, then the next beam, and so on. And then one more thing over here is that the entire Heichel was surrounded by a design. And the way it worked was that the bottom amma was empty, and then there was 3 ammas of this thing, then 1 amma empty, so on and so forth. And if you do the math, it comes out that there is an empty amma on the very bottom, then the 3 ammas, and then an empty in the 3. And you go all the way up, you'll see that there's 4 ammas left on top. And so the top 4 ammas had this 4 ammas design, not just 3 ammas. Now we're going to go into the Heichel itself, where we have, most importantly, the Kodesh and the Kodesh HaKadoshim. And here we're going to learn about the measurements. When you come in to the Heichel, there's an area of 22 amas, and it's divided into 3 parts. First, there is a 5 amas wall, which is the outer wall on this side. And again, 5 amas is close to 8 feet. Then there was 11 amas of the ulam, which is the entranceway, which is a little more than 17 feet. And then there was a 6 amas wall to the Kodesh, and that's close to around 9.5 feet. So we have a close to 8-foot wall and a close to 9.5-foot wall, and in between an area of about 17 feet. Then we move on to the Kodesh, which was 40 amas long, which is around 63 feet. Then we have the Kodesh HaKadoshim, which was 20 amas, which is around 31.5 feet. Now in between you can see there's a space, so there were 2 curtains between the Kodesh and Kodesh HaKadoshim that were an amma apart. And then after, behind the Kodesh HaKadoshim, there were 17 amas, and they were basically 3 sections. There was 4 walls and 3 empty spaces, because if you have 4 walls, you'll have 3 empty spaces between them. And we're going to divide it, just look at the 3 empty spaces, including the walls. It was a section of 6 amas, another section of 6 amas, and like we said, that's around 9.5 feet, and then a section of 5 amas, close to 8 feet. So you can see the total over here is 100 amas, because we have 40 and 20 is 60, 17 and 1 is 18, so that's 60 and 18 is 78, and the 2 is 80, another 20 is 100, so that's the length of 100 amas. Now in terms of the 100 amas from Tzafon to Durham, so that's much simpler. We have at the top 40 amas, then we have the 20 amas of the width of the Kodesh and Kodesh HaKadoshim, and then on the bottom we have another 40 amas. And in a later class, we will learn what was in these areas over here around the Kodesh HaKadoshim, as well as what was over here. Like we said, it was the Ulam. We'll get more into that in a later class. Now, to get a sense of the size of the Kodesh, as well as the Kodesh HaKadoshim, so this is the area in front of 770. This is around 40 amas by 20 amas, which is the size of the Kodesh, and the Kodesh HaKadoshim is around half of it. Here you could see it from another perspective. So this whole area again is around the size of the Kodesh. Kodesh HaKadoshim would be around half of that. And with that, we'll end the class.